get everybody on tonight. Welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to see everyone tonight. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Kaleem Joy. This is Natural Childbirth 101, and I'm so very grateful to see you here tonight. If this is the first time that we're meeting each other, I'm Kaleem Joy. I'm a licensed midwife, a certified pediatric massage therapist, speaker, coach, and someday to be an author. And I'm so grateful that I have an opportunity to support and help as many people as I do each week. Now, most times, most Tuesday nights I come in. There have been a few lately where I haven't had the opportunity to do that, and I just want to thank everybody for coming and joining me tonight. This is a good topic, and it's a topic which applies to all of us throughout our lives. I'll tell you a little story just to get us started as we're waiting for everybody to come on. And many years ago, I had a wonderful person that I worked for, my chiropractor, and she was a great mentor to me in my life and really helped me to discover many things about just life in general. Well, she called me up one day and she said, I'm going to be gifting everyone in the office an opportunity to go skydiving. And she said to me, are you willing to go? And I said, well, can I think about it? She said, if you think about it, you're going to get fearful and you're going to tell me no. And I said, well, then I'm telling you yes. And that was a big hurdle for me because a lot of things like that were big hurdles for me back in that day. And that was, oh gosh, 35 years ago or more. I don't remember, but it was a long time ago. And I was, so anyway, we did plan to go, and we drove up. We went to Napa here in California, Northern California. And we went through the little parachute jumping school, and they gave us our little outfits and talked to us about things. And there was a lot of fog, so we had to sit around and wait until the fog cleared so that we could go up in the airplanes and be able to parachute down. Now, I was going to be hooked to a experienced parachuter, and that meant that there were various hooks and straps and things like that had me attached to that person. And when we went up into the air, one of the things that they tell us is we go over to the door, we kind of squat down, and mind you, they tell us, make sure your straps are all connected. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, right? Anyway, the jumper needs to do that, but the reality is the jumper has the parachute, not me. And so I was, I made sure all my straps were good, and we tootled out, together to the edge where the door was open. And I'm still amazed at myself that I even said yes to this, actually. But I wanted to do something that would push my boundaries, push me beyond my comfort zone. That was definitely beyond my comfort zone. And I had been visualizing what I thought things were going to be like. And when we got to the door, I was told, because we had these big cables in our sleeves, to take one hand and hold onto the cable and take the other hand and hold onto the cable. And we were squatted down, and I'm to look up. And so on the count of three, of course, they said 1, 2, and we went out. I was holding on to my cables because the cables on my suit were going to keep me safe, right? There's no way that those cables could keep me safe. However, my nervous system thought they did. My nervous system thought this was gold and that it would keep me safe as long as I was holding onto those cables. And we went out the plane, up went the drone parachute, which is a small white one that sort of, we began to spin, which I wasn't prepared for. And then the main parachute went up, which, sort of pulls you up into it. And then my jumping buddy tapped me on the shoulder and said, let go and hold on to the straps. And I said to him, I can't. I couldn't let go of what was safe here. And he says, if you don't, we can't land. Well, I let go really quick and got my hands up onto the parachute, right? because I wanted to land, but I also wanted to be up there. And it was an incredible experience that walked me through fear, walked me through my willingness to be uncomfortable, to be willing to go beyond what I had ever done before. And mind you, you have to understand, I was a quiet little introvert growing up and throughout my 20s, and would never have done anything like this. Okay. So I was into my 30s before this occurred. So we went up. Good news is I did hold on to the straps. We floated ourselves down. I saw everything. When we got to the ground, I had to pull my legs up, which is not as strong as I would have liked. Anyway, and then the jumper behind me does the running to allow us to sit down, and we had a great jump. But what I come away from sharing with everybody tonight is the security blanket of those cables in my suit, which had no parachute and nothing that was going to make it simple for me to land on the ground by any stretch, you know. So we have within us, and we're going to go through this tonight, cables, if you will, that we think make things safe for us. And I want to welcome everybody tonight. I want to remind you that this is going to be recorded. Please share it with people. It'll come back up both on Instagram and on Facebook. Please share it with people so that they too can have a greater expanded awareness and understanding of understanding fear. And you can either conquer fear or fear will conquer you, right? So I had that opportunity when I was asked, would you like to go skydiving? I was also asked if I wanted to go bungee jumping. That did not go over as well. But I went skydiving, and the things that occurred in it taught me so much about myself and about life. And tonight, as we discuss fear, because fear shows up in our life, and fear is part of the fuel that helps us to motivate our lives to do something different. One of the reasons that it does that is it triggers adrenaline in our body, and our adrenaline is where we have a fight. I'll either fight to protect myself, I will freeze so that hopefully that works, or I will run like crazy and flee from whatever danger is. And adrenaline is there to do that. And as adrenaline pumps, and you can probably, all of us feel that even as we talk about it, or you start thinking about things that have caused that in your life, our heart rate raises, our blood vessels constrict so that we have more availability of oxygen, and adrenaline gives that extra boost of strength to our muscles. And here's the reason why. On a biological makeup in our bodies, all right, our bodies, from the time we became on this planet, whatever your belief system is, whether it's the creation, whether it's the evolution, whatever way, when we began to become people on this planet, there was a part of our nervous system, our makeup, that wanted to keep us safe. And at that time, there were more elements, right, that were dangerous to us. The saber-toothed tiger, if need be, if we were in the caveman days. But there was more danger that was there for us with wild animals and snakes and the night and, everything like that. And so our makeup on a primitive level within us is still there to remind us to stay safe. And adrenaline is one of those things that pumps up to say there's a threat somewhere in our life. And we go into a state of fear, which then turns on all those mechanisms that says, you're not safe, you better walk away from this. Well, that's all fine and good if there's really danger involved, such as, if a child runs and all of a sudden runs out into the street, yeah, we pump up, we run, we sprint, we want to protect them in every way we can. there's a real, not just a perceived, but there's a real danger there. And we want that to work when that's important, right? Now, here's one of the things that happens in our mind, all right? When this, when it triggers up, it turns off our frontal lobe from being able to think and make rational decisions and orchestrate something that may need to happen. And we go into just a fight or flight mode in a reaction, right? So, fear. There is a desire, a need to be able to conquer it so that it doesn't conquer you. Now, when we go through, you know me, I talk a lot about pregnancy and about birth and about early parenting and breastfeeding. And in those times, when we have fear, doubt, worry, they all kind of, ruminate together. They like to support each other, okay? And when you have that go off in pregnancy, that all of a sudden you have a thought, because that's where it starts, right? You have a thought that says, what if, and whatever that is during the pregnancy, if you allow that thought, which is a fear thought, to continue, it will then bring the feeling of fear, and it will trigger off chemical responses that are actually causing your neural system, your cerebral spinal fluid, to actually take that thought and talk to your body and your baby. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to train ourselves day by day to say, oh, what was I just thinking about? When we have a feeling of fear, and fear can be perceived as anxiety. I hear so many people talk about their anxiety, and part of that is the way that our world is working. And I love, Kirsten Wells is a master coach for the Brave Thinking Institute, who is one of my great mentors. And one of the things that Kirsten talks about this fight or flight type thing is that a lot in our world now that is causing the anxiety is like social media, the news, CNN, constantly negative news, listening to people tell you about all the bad things that are happening or the things that could happen. And all of that has become what she will say as the new Serengeti of what we used to have when we were primitive people here on the earth. We have a new Serengeti, or a new type of saber-toothed tiger and snakes and things like that, and that's called our media. Now, when you're here with me, I'd like to hope that you will gain insight and good things to help build your life and not go through anything that is Serengeti-ish. Now, we might talk about it for a moment, but it's to bring us to a level of awareness. When you look at this level of awareness that I've given you so far, right? And we take this into pregnancy. Pregnancy is a time when our bodies, our minds, and our spirits are opening because we have to stretch, and we have to become new people. We might take some of who we are, but we have to grow, stretch, and become a new version of who we are in order to parent the new baby. If we want to really parent from a place where we can feel calm confidence instead of frustration and overwhelm and fear and anxiety, okay? So how we do that is by, during pregnancy, we begin a process. Now, this is whether you're pregnant with a child, or whether you're pregnant with an idea, or you're getting ready for a new job, a new house, a new relationship, a new vacation. It doesn't really matter what it is, all right? Because our body goes through the same mechanisms. Is to meet it and say, ooh, if I'm feeling worried, fearful, doubtful, anxious about it, okay, pause. What am I thinking? I'm thinking, oh, what if this or this or this happens? The what ifs come out, okay? And when those what ifs come out, it begins to trigger that nervous system that maybe we aren't safe, when in fact that issue isn't even the danger in current time. It's only a perceived possibility or a what if of something. Okay? And we want to be able to teach our children, both in our tummies and out, that there is danger. I get that, right? You don't want to touch a hot stove. That's dangerous. But that the world is not a dangerous place, and that everything around them is constantly bombarding them with, oh my gosh, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that? Because then we make anxious children, right? So whether you're giving birth to yourself, giving birth to your baby, giving birth to new things in your life, the first thing to do, and I love that this is one of the first things that Mary Morrissey of the Brave Thinking Institute taught us, is notice what you're noticing. Notice your thoughts. If your thoughts are filled with things that you don't really want, you have to say to yourself, wow, what am I allowing myself to have the most focus and attention on? Is it fear? You know, is it fear or doubt? I got my little bubble going on. Is it fear or doubt or worry? Is that where my focus is? And if my focus is there, then that's where all of my thoughts and my feelings and my energy are going, which is then something that we are creating in our own lives. I know for some of you that may sound, oh, that sounds a little woo-woo, Kaleem, but it's truth. Okay? Trust me on this, I have experimented with that over and over and over again. That if you say to a child, don't step in the puddle, the child is going to step in the puddle. If you say, don't touch the stove, they're going to touch the hot stove. Because the brain only hears touch the stove, step in the puddle. It doesn't hear the don't and the wants, it hears do. So you want to make sure that you are feeding your mind, your nervous system with the things that you want. Okay? You want to make sure that you are giving your brain, your nervous system that is talking to your brain and going up and down your spine to create all of these chemical reactions and an experience for you that you want, right? Now, we talk about motor rehearsal that athletes do. They go into their mind and they think about the race that they're going to do, or the jump that they're going to do, or the whatever it is that they're going to do, and they imagine their entire body doing that. If you watch a gymnast, they get there and they're moving their body, and a diver, same thing. They're going through it in their mind. Their body fires off as if they do, which then when they do it, that becomes the reality. All right, so fear, how to conquer that fear. What do you do with it? Notice it and then pause. Because the one thing that fear wants to do is bring you back to what you absolutely know as safe. And unfortunately, that safe doesn't mean that you can grow. So you have to help it by pausing it and saying, thank you. You befriend the fear. You say, thank you for wanting to keep me safe. We are going to install a new operating system about what safe is in relation to whatever it is that you're planning to do. Now, how do you do that? Okay, you pause it, you notice it, you pause it, then you breathe. And you've heard me talk about this. Kirsten Wells teaches us about breathing. You breathe in through the nose and then out like you're breathing out a straw. Why do you do that? Because it takes your nervous system from being in its sympathetic. That if you go research this, all right, you say sympathetic nervous system, it'll come up. That's your fight or flight or freeze. It takes you from being in that, and sometimes you don't even know that's where you are. Okay, so be mindful. You breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth like a straw. and you do it again. And you do it again. And you might do it 3, 4, 5, you might do it 20 times. But what you're looking for is that you come back into calm confidence, which means you come from that we're not safe part of your brain that has turned off your frontal lobe of responding, and it's gone into reaction, and it brings it back to what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is where we have rest, digest what's going on, and create something new. So you have to take wherever the fear is, notice it, pause it, breathe, which is changing your nervous system, and then put something new into the operating system of what is safe, such as an affirmation. If you have felt, wow, I'm getting so nervous about going on this trip, and rather we can really do this, how am I going to handle all the kids? And, how do I do that at the airport? I mean, all of that is going on before you're even there, okay? The Serengeti has shown up. And what you want to do is notice it and go, oh my gosh, I'm creating that whole thing. I'm imagining everything going that way. Pause that. Pause it. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth until you feel a calm confidence, and say, I am so happy and grateful that I walk with my children who stay close to me, and I easily navigate travel in a way that helps me feel calm and confident. Now that's my words. Use your own, but develop something that you go, wow, I like that. And write it down, put it on a 3x5, put it on a sticky, put it around, so that whenever you feel that, you go, whoop, nope, breathe, repeat my affirmation, and repeat it. And then close your eyes and use your imagination. Use your imagination to imagine getting up in the morning, everything's packed, your kids had a good night's sleep, you gathered the things that you needed and the snacks and the backpacks, and everybody has their little backpacks on. You go in the car, you get out of the car, you have your little hands on everybody, your suitcase is going with you, and you have more than enough time where all the kids are holding on to the suitcase, right? And you have one that rides on it because that makes it easier for the toddler, and you have the baby in the front pack. And you're saying to all the kids, you're doing a really great job of walking toward the baggage thing. You're doing such a good job. Thank you for staying by me. And you get to the baggage thing, you put your baggage tag on, you go and you put your luggage up, and all your kids have their hands, right? And you calmly walk, you walk up the escalator, you go through this, all right? You with me? And you go through every piece of this, even taking them all to the bathroom, and then getting to the gate, and knowing that they are all doing so well, and that you planned for activities and snacks and everything, and this flight was so easy, everybody was happy. You got off the flight, you met your family, and it went well. Because isn't that really what you want? Of course it is. You don't want to be in the fear side. You want to be in the trust side. And the more you do that, the more your nervous system knows that these are the steps you're going to take, and you've walked yourself through it, okay? Whatever it happens to be, you walk yourself through it. So you notice what you've thought. Because you're feeling something, you say, oh, what am I thinking? Pause it, breathe, create an affirmation, imagine the affirmation, and guess what? You have to repeat. Those of you who have been with me, you know my little thing about neuronal glue. Neuronal glue is stuck to the old patterns that wanted to keep us in that old patterns of being safe. In order to break them loose to attach to something new that you would love, you must convince them over and over and over again that you want to do something different. And the only way to do that is by affirmations and imagining something different. Okay? This is where fear can be a fuel and be a friend to you, because it tells you, guess what? You need to change your thinking so that you can feel happier and calmer, so that you can increase in the baby in your tummy by saying, you know what? Wow, this is the best day ever. And I am just so happy that you're moving and growing well, and that you're learning to become the greatest version of who you are, because I'm learning to do the same thing out here. I'm growing in who I am, and I'm willing to embrace change. Your baby is going through change constantly, and so is the inside of your body. Now what you got to do is learn to have your mind and your heart, your mind and your feelings to change with the things that you would love. When you do that, you also prepare yourself for birth, because you go through, what am I thinking about birth? What is it that I have fears or doubts or worries about? All right, what do I want to pause when those things come up? Because you get a whisper at around 28 weeks. By 35 weeks, it starts talking. By 39, 40 weeks, you're thrilled about wanting to go through birth, and you're ready to meet your baby. And sometimes there's a bunch of other things that want to circulate around, that want to say, boo, 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 like it was going up in the airplane for me, and thinking that my cables on my shirt could keep me safe. Our nervous system has those cables, and you have to let go and reach up and hold on to the parachute that's going to safely guide you down to earth. That's your breathing. That's your reprogramming of your mind. And know that it is a neurological physics here. I'm not talking woo-woo, you guys. This is reality. This is just the physics of how your body works. And your brain talks to each other, okay? The two sides. Part of it's imagination, part of it's literal. And when the literal is overtaking, you got to allow it to go back and forth between your imagination and your literal, okay? All right, let's see if I got everything on my list. Yes. So when you go to use your imagination, make sure that you feel what it feels like, so that you feel calm and confident, or happy and joyful, or whatever feeling you want to feel while you're imagining whatever it is that you want to create, whether that's your birth, okay? And knowing that you're going to breathe into the expansion of every one of those contractions. As you expand open, you're going to breathe willingness to go into the new life and let go of the old. Into the new and let go of the old. Even when we're creating an idea or creating something else in our life, we have to be willing to breathe into the expansion of what it is and let go of the past. My Facebook likes to give me all kinds of things, from balloons to hearts to fireworks that go off, because I do this double, both on Instagram and Facebook at the same time. So we have this mechanism that we can use. I learned this from Mary Morrissey, from Kirsten Wells. There's a book called Brave Thinking, for those of you who would like to read about it. I think it's backwards on here, it's forward on there. It's Brave Thinking. It's by Mary Morrissey. Okay, that also is something you can purchase and read, and it will tell you even more of these things, right? I know that if you will conquer fear, I will too, right? I conquered fear going up in that airplane. I conquered the fear by realizing I had to let go in order to allow myself to land, right? And conquering the fear of all different things that come up in life. And I still walk through that journey. But these tools have given me the ability to go into a place that might be uncomfortable, because my body's neural system wants to take me back to the familiar, to go into the unknown, which is what pregnancy, what birth is, what parenting is for the first time, is going into the unknown, right? Now, for those of you that have watched the movies Frozen, I happen to love them. There's a lot more meaning in them if you give it a chance, all right? But in the Frozen 2, she has this song that says, into the unknown. She has to go into the unknown, into something that's uncomfortable, into something she's never done before, in order to find the answers that are calling her, in order to find what is calling her to something that is greater than who she is. Okay? We all have this. We all have something within us that is calling us to a greater version of who we are. And all we need to do is allow ourselves to take an idea and give it permission to grow. All right? Now, just so that those of you who are in local area for now, June 22nd is the TEDx Folsom. Folsom is a local city at the Harris Center here in Folsom, is the TEDx Folsom event, June 22nd. I have the privilege, and I am so grateful that I was chosen to be one of the speaker lineups. So for those of you who are local, come, get tickets, go. I have met the other speakers and they are amazing and fantastic people. For those of you who don't live local, just stay tuned, because eventually it will go out onto the YouTube and the TED tube where you can have access to it. Okay, I'm so thrilled to be doing this. It's a brand new concept that I'm going to be working with a lot of familiar concepts, and I'm really looking forward to it. So for those of you also that are interested or have friends or family that are pregnant, please, or thank you for sending them over to my website, encouraging them to sign up, enroll into Natural Childbirth 101, because it has a comprehensive of all that I did in midwifery care that will guide them through choices and options during pregnancy, no matter where they're giving birth. It'll help them understand how to get their body prepared, both chemically and structurally. It will walk you through birth, all right? Understanding birth from a mindset of how I teach, and going into postpartum so that you adjust and navigate a postpartum that allows you to love and enjoy your children. And I walk through all the things about breastfeeding. So I mean, you know, it's a whole comprehensive. So please, yes, I tell people about your course all the time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And any of you, if you would love to, I would love it if you'd also go into Google and leave me a review. We're building this momentum so that we can reach more people, so that more people have what you have had tonight. And doing a Google review is one way that helps all the little bots in the internet world to help people know about this. All right. Let me grab the link and I'll put it in to the chat. Let's see. Let's put it in here. Let's see if it'll do it. Yay! And it did. Okay, so it's in the chat, and I would love it. Go and review and, you know, share whatever you would like, however short or long that is, and encourage more opportunities for these bots to carry it out into more people's world. Not to mention people who come to look, they also will see your reviews. Now, for tonight, I have a few, oh yes, we have some time. If you would like to do some Q&A, I am completely open to that. So while you are putting your questions in, if you would like to share questions, and I am happy to answer them. One, I want to celebrate all the babies that were born in the past couple weeks. I just want to celebrate these families of going through and having a VBAC, some of them HBACs, which means home birth after cesarean, the families who have gone and had their babies, and no matter what their story was, but just celebrating them for walking through that journey to expanding into a greater version of who you are. I want to celebrate and really say to all of you, whatever you've done this week, say to yourselves, what am I proud and what am I grateful for? What wins can I see in my life? Because that reminds you that you're doing a great job. And sometimes it's that you had a great day with your kids, or you took them to the park, or you had something special, or you just sat down and said, you know what, let's read together. Or maybe you fixed something special for your partner, or maybe your partner did something special for you, and that's something to really feel like that's a win too. Okay? All right, let's see. Here's a question. How do you deal with pain during a natural childbirth? That's my fear. Okay, that is probably one of the most common. There's like 3 fears that are most common in all people getting ready for birth. One of them is the fear of how those sensations are going to be. Now, I walk through this in my classes, but to give you a little synopsis of it, when you understand what I talked about tonight, this is a roadmap to helping you, all right? When we perceive birth as something that is moving our bodies, our spirits, and our minds into an expanded life, that sensation that builds as that contraction, as that expansion, as I call it, meets its peak, and we breathe willingness into it and say yes. Because it's when we resist, when we push it away, when we don't want it, when we try to make it not be as strong as it is, when we hold back to the sensations that we are feeling, birth has to have a conversation with which way are we going? Are we going forward, or are we trying to stay the same? Right? The Serengeti says, let's stay the same. Going into that sensation, I don't know if I feel safe. And that's why you can't wait until labor to be all prepared for this. Okay? I've watched people do that and say, you know what? I just trust my body, it knows what to do. It's true, but does your mind? And it depends on what you've been given for your mind to understand that throughout your life. So what you do is that you begin now by saying, I accept the sensations my body will ask of me, knowing that I am safe to feel those sensations fully and to say yes to them and feel myself opening to a brand new person coming through me and a brand new person in myself. Now, this is a different philosophy than just take your mind, take it away, pretend it's not there. You can't escape labor. Labor will call you inside because it wants you to become completely with it. Now, that doesn't mean you're conscious about everything that's going on around you. It means that you are willing to be with it. You're willing to be with those sensations and say to them, I accept you. I am willing for you to be big. I breathe air into you and I give you permission to open me up. That's a different mindset than labor's painful. Labor's too hard. Now, you might use the word pain, and that's fine, but give it a definition that's different, because pain, if you haven't had a child before, comes because something is wrong and you've been hurt and you want to run away from it and you want to fix it and make it go away. You can't do that with birth. And the sensations of birth, that's why hypnobirthing and many childbirth preparation, including myself, get away from the word pain, because that's what the brain equates with. Pain is that something's wrong and it needs to be fixed and you need to run away from it. When labor and the sensations of you opening are right, everything is right, and allowing it to expand and open is the way that it gets permission to go forward, and adrenaline doesn't surge. Because when adrenaline surges, oxytocin has to say, maybe we're not safe, because oxytocin needs you to be safe to really flood and flow. Now, one thing that I've learned is that and this is for anybody, but I have to go to the point of learning how women labor at home versus how they labor in a hospital. Okay? When you labor at home in your own surroundings and things are calm and peaceful, and you go into your own shower and you keep lights low and you have sweet music if you want it, and you have love and encouragement, that fosters the oxytocin to flood well. Now, when that happens, as labor moves on, you actually start secreting a substance like morphine in your body, which causes you to get very sleepy during those last few centimeters, and it actually acts as a helper to the sensations that you're having. Now, when you go into a hospital, an unfamiliar place, people coming in and out, you hear noises, the lights might go on, people talk to you. The thing to do if you're in a hospital setting is put earbuds in and listen to either a hypnobirthing, a new age, just soft music, something that you can make for yourself. Make yourself an hour of affirmations. Take the affirmations that are in my classes and talk yourself through it. I've taken that, put a yoga music on my computer and listened to it while I'm talking through it, and made myself my own meditation tape by saying, I am safe, I am strong, I am willing to say yes to all sensations, I am opening my body, I am giving way to my baby moving through me. Whatever that is, you can make those affirmations up and you can record them on your phone, put some background music, like I said, and that is something you can listen to, and you can get others, all right? Because that's just keeping the mind suggested. Because anything or anyone around you who starts talking to you, asking questions, and wants to ask you how that was it hard? I know that's too strong. You must be in a lot of pain. You have to watch people and guide them ahead of time so that they don't interject those things, because you're very open and you want that opening to be responding positively to what your body's doing. I did not bring water in with me tonight. Okay, so there you go, my dear. All right, let's see. Excited, but so nervous for labor. Could be any day. Yes, Jill, it could be. Trying to get in the right mind space. Loved your course, and I refer back to it often. How to overcome possibility of bowel movement during labor. Okay, let's address that real quick. When the baby, when the baby is coming down, when the baby comes down past your sacrum, which is in the back. Okay, hold on. Let's see if I can get to this real quick. Depends on how long this is. Listen, make yourself up some affirmations from the list and talk yourself into it. And you've got the one meditation that I did. That one's mostly for pregnancy, not so much for birth, but you can still use it, but you can make up your own. Okay, so baby comes down past the sacrum. Okay, you know what else goes past that sacrum? Your bowels. Okay, your bowels are right in here. And when baby starts moving down through, me as a practitioner, when I see a bowel movement coming, I'm thumbs up, because that means that the baby has gotten low enough that it's actually causing to push some poop out that might be left in the colon. When that happens, whether you're in the water, we always scooped it out and we were like, this is great, good news. Midwives love everything that comes out of your body though. And and if you're on dry land, I want you to know that your midwife or your doctor or a nurse or whatever is going to take a baby wipe and wipe it aside and just clean it up. Trust that when that happens, that means the baby's almost on its way, almost there for you, okay? So begin saying, I'm fine to have a bowel movement. I don't care, because it's my baby that's pushing that out, and my baby's about to be born. So good, good. And remember that your practitioners, this is something they're used to, they love, they know, and it's really common. Often your bowels will clean out beforehand, and there's not that much that happens with, because nature is smart enough to know to want to clean that out as your progesterone dives off getting ready for birth. But sometimes there's a little bit, but not a lot, okay? Some women will go in and actually have a bowel movement and then get ready to push soon afterwards. But no, it's totally good. So if you can look at it as, oh, this is a good thing, then you go for it, okay? And don't worry about it, because the practitioners like it. All right, excited but nervous, trying to get the right mind space. As you get ready for birth, there is this place that is like, I want to be in the mindset of all well, but something's pulling me off over here that's saying, well, what if is this really gonna, and then you have, this is what you do, okay? You just keep pulling it back. It's an exercise in muscle plasticity that goes on in the brain. The brain goes, but legitimate, no, let's go back. And this is a good exercise. So anytime you feel that way, just say, oh, I am so willing to embrace labor, walk every one of them. Also remember that these expansions or contractions, they're waves. They don't just go up and for hours stay up, okay? Baby can't handle that. Uterus can't handle that. Neither can you. So remember, they're waves that go up, peak, and come down and rest. You always get a rest. Now, sometimes that rest is only 1 minute. And when it is, that means baby's coming sooner. Especially, I think, for you, you've had babies before, so that will happen much quicker. But remember, there's always an up and a rest. And an up and a rest. And as the up comes, you breathe more permission into it. When it gets to the peak, you say yes. And then it will come down and it will rest. And when it rests, you rest with it and you say thank you. Because now it has done its work and you've let it do its work. And letting it do its work means that you get where you want to be faster. Okay? So right on. All right, question to ask a midwife that's not certified by the state. Planning my first home birth for my second VBAC. Midwives can't attend HBAC in my state. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom. You are welcome. Planning my first home birth. Okay, but they ordinarily cannot attend. All right. So when you have a state that may not have as much regulation, I would ask a midwife, number one, how often has she attended a VBAC, and what would be her criterias for how often does she listen? Does she require an IV? Probably they can't put them in if they can't attend usually. And how often has she had VBACs? Because you've already had a vaginal birth, this is a no-brainer, okay? Just so you know. Because you've already had a vaginal birth, just because you've had a cesarean, you've already had a vaginal birth, having the second vaginal birth is like having a second vaginal birth. And midwives are like, great. So being able to hire a good midwife is to say, you know, would you be checking anything different on me than you would with somebody who hasn't had a prior cesarean? So find out what that is, you know. Is that more frequent heart tones? Is she okay with a water birth if you're planning that? Is there any, you know, how far away is your hospital? I mean, you have a few things like that on the docket. Does she know about a cervical lip for VBACs? If you were to have one, what would she do if there was a cervical lip? Does she use homeopathy, herbs? Does she, how often does she check women, All right. Find out how many babies has she attended, what is her transfer rate, and you might, go to your state's midwifery association, because most have it. Even if it's not a legal state, it's there. And see if her name is listed, right? Ask her how long she's been licensed. Is she a CPM, a certified professional midwife? If she has that certification, she already has a certain degree of training that has been monitored, and she has taken the NARM exam, which is a national exam, same thing we take in California, and that is there. If she has no certifications, find out if, how long she's been in practice. And if she's been in practice a long time, but she has no certifications, even if the state doesn't recognize them, you might want to do some searching around with some other midwives and say, I'm thinking about going with this midwife. Is there any reason that you would tell me not to? Now it's a little dicey to ask things like that. You don't want people in your community to do that, but if she's a CPM, a certified professional midwife, she has done an amount of training that should give you some confidence in her. Okay. The other thing is find out what medications can she carry, what kind of complications does she handle at home. Because of the fact that the state doesn't certify, that can vary, and you want to know, just so that you are understanding, if there was bleeding, what would she do? How would she handle that? If there was need for suturing, how does she handle that? If there was need for resuscitation for the baby, how does she handle that? Does she have all of those things, even though the state doesn't give her permission to attend births like that? Okay, so hopefully that answered the question. All right, let's see what else we got here. I'm 40 weeks and all right, I'm 40 weeks and one day. How can I help calm my nerves when I'm feeling pressure from people I know asking me about the due date? Well, the first thing you do is you put a new voice message on your phone, and your voice message says, thank you so much for calling. We love you. And as soon as I change my first diaper on this baby, I will be sure to let everybody know that I'm in labor or that the baby's been born. But until then, I need to go into my birth cave, and I hear dinner about approaching. Thank you. I go into my birth cave, and so that I can get my mindset and be really ready for birth. And when you do this, don't answer your phone. That's my best suggestion, because what happens is people remember your due date and they begin wanting to call, and you feel like a watched pot, and you're like, I'm happy to have the baby, but the baby hasn't come yet. And 40 weeks in one day, I'm like, please, you get to 42 weeks, people are still going to be calling. My hope is baby comes in the next day or two for you. And I send that wish out to you if that's what you and baby are in the best interest. But that's what I tell families, because it can get really overwhelming when friends, family, other people, they're calling, and they mean well. They mean well. They want to say to you, we're just thinking about you, and to have a message, you have to decide whether you want to listen to the messages as well. All right. And that's why I say, make your own message that says, thank you so much. We're so thrilled to be welcoming this baby. And as soon as we change the first diaper, we'll be sure to tell everybody that baby is here. So there you go. And those that can be supportive and encouraging to you and go take you out to tea and lunch and not do things are great distractions, and that's a good thing. Tips for not tearing during labor. Yes. Okay. First thing, start doing some perineal massage now with coconut oil. Coconut oil is your friend. If you have had tears or an episiotomy in the past, add some rosewood oil to it, a little drop, and just massage into those tissues and allow a little bit of stretching. Open your mouth as you stretch, and as you stretch. And as you do that, you begin to get those tissues just stretching. All right, you massage the oil and then you just stretch. You don't stretch massage at all because you can just irritate tissues in there. And then when pushing comes, make sure that your body is really telling you an overwhelming urge to push, not that you are 10 centimeters or that somebody else is telling you to push. Okay, get that overwhelming urge, because there's a biological thing that happens. Your hormones rise and it actually will open you and make everything more stretchy if you wait until that overwhelmingness, and there's a term for it in the medical term, it's called a fetal, meaning the baby, ejection, we're getting you out of here, reflex. Okay, so it happens, and if you start pushing ahead of time, that reflex says, well, not going to happen. It's kind of like going in and saying, I am going to poop right now, and you start pushing, and all you do is make a lot of hemorrhoids. But if you go in when you need to go and you kind of breathe it down and you wait, and you kind of give it a little nudge, poop comes out, right? There is some similarity to it with the baby. And when you do that, when the baby is coming and you are pushing and you can feel that little burn that kind of happens as that skin stretches, put your hands down there, ladies. Get down on your body parts and feel that baby and guide that baby out a little bit with nudges like little bit, and then rest between the contractions, the expansions. Okay, keep your hands there, because your body will open more to your hands as you guide your baby out than it will feeling like you're up here and you don't know what's going on down there. Okay. Oh, before you push, get a nice big blob of coconut oil and rub it all up in there. It's magic. Okay, we've got 3 minutes left. Would you recommend everyone that is expecting to start taking chlorophyll? And if so, when do you recommend to start taking it and how much? Chlorophyll's great. Chlorophyll is a good a good blood builder. It looks molecularly a lot like blood. It's a great tool. I would put a big squirt of it in your water, or droppers. I can't remember whether hers are droppers or in a big container. I think it's in a big container. Nice squirt in water. It's very good for you. For those of you whose iron level is low, this is another support tool. If you have some bleeding after birth, go through a whole bottle of that within the first week, and it's very supportive, very nourishing, and you can start it whenever. I would recommend that, you definitely start something like that in 3rd trimester if you would like to take it. It's great. Great question. And there are other brands, but Mary Ruth's is very pure. What do you watch for, or how do you check baby after birth when mom has gestational diabetes? You want to make sure baby gets to breast and starts eating. That's the main thing. That baby maintains their temp, that they aren't jittery, and because when baby's blood sugars are low, they don't maintain their temp. They get very jittery. Now, I don't mean just some jitters. There are some things that are muscle type things that babies do, but they can get jittery because their blood sugar is low and they don't maintain their temp. And usually if they're trying to nurse, they're just like very disorganized. It's like they're crying, they want to breastfeed, they're crying, they can't seem to get on, they're disorganized. Get some colostrum out, give it to the baby, let the baby's blood sugar come back up, and usually they'll organize after that. Okay, see if they'll suck on your finger, right? But that's the main thing. In a hospital, any babies who are gestational diabetics, they're going to want to check blood sugars on babies. You want 40 or above. That's what they're looking for, 40 or above. If it's below that, all you do is nurse, have them recheck it. They're going to want to check it multiple times. You can work with that a little bit if you will breastfeed the baby and say to them, if the baby's over 40, and say to them this, if they're maintaining their temp, the baby's willing to nurse, and they're not jittery, I don't want any more of the checks, okay? Unless something needs that. All right, let's see. She is a CPM. There you go. And highly recommend by other home birth friends. I have a consultation call this week trying to get all my questions answered. Thumbs up, girl. Way to go. Whoops. Let's go back down. Okay, I think we're just about at the end. I know I am about out of tips for oversupply. I'm 4 weeks postpartum, and one breast is regulated, but the other is out of control. So sore and feel like I'm on the verge of mastitis symptoms. Okay, so get that breast to release. Make sure that you massage that breast because sometimes they can get a little congested. Don't wear an underwire bra. Make sure if you go to work out and you wear a sports bra that that side is as empty as you can. Go back to resting for a day or two and make sure that that breast stays flowing. Put baby on it. Get the fore milk off a bit and then put baby on it. And I realize if you pump it, it's going to make more milk. You do this back and forth. Sometimes putting baby on in different positions can help drain that breast better. But the main thing is also look for a tongue tie. Oversupply sometimes is misdiagnosed as a tongue tie that's not regulating the breast and not helping the breast to be drained. So make sure after baby nurses, maybe hand express off some of that extra milk and save it up and give it to baby. There you go. All right, we got to the end. Thank you, everybody. I want to thank you for coming tonight. This was a fantastic topic and very much one that if you came in late, please go back and watch this because it will give you concrete tools of how to set yourself up for success, conquer fear, and be able to understand why it's there, what it does, and how to come from the place of calm confidence. So until next time, go in, hug your kids, whether they're in your head because you want one, your bellies because they're growing good, make sure you feed them lots of love, kindness, and support, or in your head, your bellies, their beds. Give them a hug, tell them you love them, tell them they're amazing and that they can achieve anything they set their minds to, just like you. Mwah! Love you all. Bye.